It's Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another unboxing here at PNix Handheld. And this week, we have the BatleXP G350. Now, I've been wanting to get to this for quite a while now, and that's because this device is surrounded by some controversy. Because some people believe that it's made by Anbernic, but Anbernic officially denies it. So, which is it? I don't know, but it still makes me want to get in and give it a try. So, why don't you stick around and find out what it's like right after this? Hey fam, Swati Crap Nick here, and thank you for joining me for another episode of PNix Handheld. And as I mentioned in the intro, this device is a bit of a controversial device because this device made by Anbernic is an awful lot like this device. But how close is it? Let's find out with this unboxing. First and foremost, let's take a look around the box. So a nice image of the device in DMG gray. If we flip it up, you can see the different color options. We do have DMG gray. I had to handwrite these in because they didn't include the actual names of it. And then they do have two transparent shells, crystal black and crystal pink. I know a lot of people are fans of the crystal pink, but I wanted to go with DMG gray because I think it'll look really good on camera and it should contrast this transparent green color. So what else do we got on the box? Another BatleXP logo, nothing there. Another BatleXP logo. And then, of course, we have an outline of the device with a 3.5-inch 640 by 480 IPS display, same as this. So where this differs is this has the Rockchip RK3326 with the Mali G31 MP2 SoC. Now, that is an SoC that Anbernic has never used on an Anbernic branded device. So some hypothesize this is Anbernic trying out Rockchip SoCs to see how they perform in their units. It has 1 gigabyte of RAM versus this having 2 gigabytes of RAM. But of course, both have a Linux 64-bit OS on it. So pretty simple. You can see mine got dinged up a bit in delivery, but that's okay. All right, let's set this to the side for a moment so I can check out what's in the box with you. Perfect. Let's go ahead and just set that over here so we remember what we're looking at. Of course, we get a nice device with a transparent white bag and a nice foam protector protecting the device, but let's look at that in just a moment. Of course, we get a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. Thank you. And if I'm being honest, this looks a lot like an Anbernic style manual, but of course it is branded BatleXP. I like that we have it in English on this side, and on this side we have simplified Chinese. So it covers both ends of the spectrum. So without further ado, let's put this lid back on it. Scoot this back over to the side. And as usual, this device was purchased by me from AliExpress. This usually goes for $35 to $40 on AliExpress, whereas this goes for $55 to $60. The big difference is going to be the SoC. Again, they've never used a Rockchip on an Anbernic device, so this will be slightly more powerful. And this has no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. So this is a completely offline device, whereas this has both of those. So we'll need to check over the course of a week to see if it's worthwhile spending the extra for this, or is it worth saving the money and going with this. So here we go. Now, of course, this looks very different because this has a black bezel around it versus this has a transparent bezel on it. But you can see very much the same, even the same letter on this. The D-pad honestly feels the same. You can see they're the same size and they feel the same. Same analog sticks, same faux speaker. I just mean faux because it makes it look like there's a speaker there, but there's not. In both cases, the speaker is right here. Like I say, if they're not the same company, they definitely got a hold of the same shells. What else do we got going on here? Let's take a look on the other side. All right, so you can see the Anbernic also gives us mini HDMI out. Let me push this off to the side, whereas we do not get it with this. So we get a slightly weaker chip in this one. We lose out on wireless connectivity on this one. We lose out on the ability to consoleize our device because the Anbernic gives us mini HDMI. This one doesn't give us mini HDMI. However, both do give us a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and both do give us a DC OTG connection. So DC means charging, and OTG is like wireless controller, for example, or in this case, wired controller. Now, that's especially important for this device. This is especially important for the G350 since there is no Bluetooth connectivity. But all right, looks good there. What do we have over on this side? Let's take a look here. Okay, we have in both cases, we have the micro SD card for INT, which means internal. So that is where your OS is based. And you can see the volume rocker is on the same location. Then if we flip it over, again, we have the same power button, the same restart button, and then we have micro SD card to EXT or external. So this is where your games go. So as you can see, this one doesn't have any actual micro SD card because my games were on the included TF card on one, whereas here they've given me two micro SD cards, one with all the games on it and one with the OS. So that's the way you can do it with these is you can either split it up or have it all on one micro SD card. Like I say, if they're not the same company, they are definitely stealing someone's molds, whether BatleXP stole Anbernic's mold or Anbernic stole BatleXP's mold. Either way, like I say, the buttons all feel very much the same. So I think it's quite interesting that they definitely didn't shy away from being almost identical on the external side of things. Let's get this going here. Of course, we have a nice little BatleXP splash screen. Let's just leave that there. BatleXP loading. All right. Let's see. Let's see. What is this OS like? Regardless, like I say, it feels just like an Anbernic D-pad. And I have to admit, that's a good thing because Anbernic makes some of the best and quietest D-pads and face buttons on the market. So that's always great. And I love the shoulder buttons on both of these because, again, they are of a raised element. So you can easily hit R2 and L2 without accidentally tripping over L1 or R2. All right, so this looks like, yes, it definitely is a version of Emulation Station Desktop Edition. Okay, got some Pico 8 games on here, MSX. So if you didn't know, this is the MSX2. Before that, there was the MSX. If you didn't know, the original MSX was the original Microsoft home console. So if you thought the Xbox was the original Microsoft console, no, just the original in the 2000s. This came out in the 80s, believe it or not. PC Engine CD-ROM, NES, Game Boy, SNES, and 64. So they've kept these icons quite simple. Nintendo DS, NDS Fresh. I'm not sure what Nintendo DS Fresh is, but okay, got some ports. Let's just take a look here. Port Master, okay. Beats, okay. Master Systems, Game Gear, Mega Drive. Of course, the Mega Drive in North America was called the Genesis, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, Sega Naomi, Neo Geo MVS, Neo Geo Pocket, PlayStation, PSP. Let's see, what do we got over here? We do got Gran Turismo. Hey, I know Ethan loves to see Gran Turismo, or has been asking to see Gran Turismo on live streams, so I'll save that. I'll just assume that it works since they included it on their system. But so if you're also curious about what that looks like, don't forget to join the live stream or watch the live stream Wednesday, 7 p.m. Thai time. Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit. Oh man, I used to love this game. My friend David had this, and oh, I used to love playing it at his place. For some reason, I never borrowed it, but whenever I would go over to his place, we'd play Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit. So we can see our little FPS counter. It's good to see how performant it is. I believe this should be able to handle PS1 with very little issue, and PSP relatively good, unless it's a really demanding game like God of War, Ghosts of Sparta. Let me make sure the volume's turned down, because I don't want to get dinged for copyright strikes, because Need for Speed was known for some great music. So let's just give this a try here. Sure, track hometown. Let's see what cars did we have to select from here. This one looks pretty cool. Let's go with that one. Back. Okay. Where is, yeah, okay. I'm trying to select that, but for some reason it doesn't want to take it. All right, fine. I'm not sure, but let's get started. See how this goes. And like I said, this is probably my favorite vertical handheld, so this is going to have to be one of them as well. Feels exactly the same, a good size. Which the nice thing is there's a lot of accessories for customization for this, so it would be available for this as well. There we go. Let's take a look here. Bringing back my childhood. Sorry, I can't have the volume up louder. Whoa. David, I'm not doing our memories any justice here. I'm sorry if you're watching, buddy. But I mean, considering this is PS1 from 1998, I have to admit, I think the graphics look really great. I always thought PlayStation graphics looked really good for their time. Whoa. And I see what happened. I was selecting my car, but then the second one I was selecting was the car I'm facing. Ooh. Good thing they didn't have damage control, or else I would have totaled my car. I mean, I know Gran Turismo's a great game, but it's always been on the simulation side, and I've always enjoyed the arcadiness of Need for Speed. What about you? If you're watching this, are you a arcade racer or are you a simulation racer? There's no right or wrong answer, of course. Everybody has their preference on everything. Some people love Mortal Kombat, some people like Street Fighter, and some people like Tekken, right? It's all just preference. Okay, so yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's been more than 20 years since I've probably played this game. So forgive me for my lackluster driving. But again, see the street signs and the trees. For PS1, this was really, really great. And the graphics look good and stable right at 60 frames per second. Whoa, flipped my car. What do you think? Can I catch up with the guy in first? I am not so sure, but I don't know how far away he is compared to me. Can't see him on my radar. That's all I know for certain. But yeah, the controls feel exactly the same. I always preferred the analog sticks over the D-pad, but I know some people obviously prefer the other way around for these games. But these Switch style, whoa, analog sticks feel really good for this type of game. Obviously, not as good as a console controller's analog sticks, but for $35, I'd say these feel pretty darn good. They're not little like PSP nubbums, they're actual proper analog sticks. instead of analog sliders like what was on the PSP. So much more responsive than that. It doesn't look like I'm going to catch up with him. Let's see. Since it is RetroArch and ESDE at its core, I should be able to do start select to back out. Or memory start. Okay, so it's start and memory twice, and that takes you out of your game. Memory or function button kind of thing. I wish, since it's all offline, that they would allow you to already have the thumbnails and everything to make it really nice, but you know, it is what it is for $35. So just to show you here, because they do have network settings, but that's just because those are default settings, so it makes it look like you can enable Wi-Fi, but no Wi-Fi networks found. Come on. See, if it was real, then it would be populating. Like on this, it populates it pretty quick. But as you can see, it's not there, sadly. Okay, but again, you do have a lot. And I don't know why scraper's there other than they weren't able to take it out, maybe. Okay, good stuff. So I think this is a great little value for $35. I can see what other people were talking about. I do like the DMG gray, gives it a real Game Boy aesthetic. So I'm happy with that. And I like the contrasting buttons. Looks really good. I wish we'd still gotten the mini HDMI to consoleize our device, but alas, that was for naught. But again, we do have a single downward firing speaker. And on this, it actually sounded pretty good, especially for the price point. But remember, this is normally $55 to $60 versus this is about $35 to $40. So I'll have to play with it over the course of the week and with my live stream to fully decipher if this is worth the money or should you wait and save up your money for this guy. I can see there being pros and cons to both, of course. And that's what I'm here for, is to get that decided so you can at least have an answer from my perspective and give you an informed decision. But all in all, like I say, this is a great little device from the get-go. One thing to remember though, just like this device, you don't use your phone's fast charger with this. Even though it is USB-C ports, don't use your phone's fast charger. You do that, you could fry your battery, or just it'll turn off and not turn back on. So use a phone charger from 15 years ago or older, or if you have on your wall outlet a USB-A port, so if you plug into that and then plug into this, it'll give it the slow speed that this is looking for. Likewise, if you have an open USB port on your computer, you can plug it into that and it will also slow charge it for you so you don't hurt your battery. Do like that we get these kind of like notification lights to tell you it's powered on and whatnot. So, like I say, I want to hear what games you would like to see played during my live stream with this. So leave your comments down below. Or after this goes live, I will be posting the live stream thumbnail. You can jump on there to let you know when it's going to be going live, and you can comment on it immediately saying, please play this game. For example, I know Ethan wants to play Gran Turismo, so I'll save that for the live stream. Don't forget to subscribe, because remember, we're on our march to 500 subscribers for our next member giveaway. With that said, until next time, this has been P. Nick.